Our media, they've taught us that as men, that's what we're supposed to do. So we want to get notches on our belts by trying to sleep with as many women as possible. That, my friends, is an illusion. Sleeping with a lot of women does not make you a man. But it's an illusion that has been perpetuated since the beginning of time. You with me? Illusion number 3 is to be a man, you got to have money and material possessions. Now, don't get me wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with making money, and lots of it. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is we sell our souls for stuff because we're trapped in this illusion that to be a man, I got to have stuff. When in reality, all you need is you. You don't need stuff. But what do? Let's say, for example, we meet a lady. And so we want to go out on a date. What are we going to do? We got to get dressed up, take it to a restaurant we can't afford, get the car clean, borrow our friend's car so we look like we're representing. We all do that, right? We've all done it. Because we're trapped in this illusion that to be a man, we have to have money and material possessions. That's an illusion, my friends. That's an illusion. Illusion number 4 is to be a man, you must have titles, positions, and power. Once again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting degrees, being educated, being a doctor, being a lawyer. Nothing wrong with that at all. But see, in our society, they set it up that if we don't have those things, a lot of us who don't have them, we think we're less than men. So we try to compete and measure up against those guys. When in reality, you got to be happy with who you are. So titles, positions, and power does not make you a better man. A doctor is not a better man than somebody that works at Wendy's. He just may have more education, just may have a little more money. But it does not make him a better man. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So what we have to be willing to do is, number 1, not compare ourselves to other people. Be happy with who we are. But this illusion will drive you insane because you think you always got to try to keep up with other people. Don't do that. And number 5 is to be a man, you must constantly compete with and outdo other men. See, there's this unwritten law that men don't talk openly about, that we always trying to outdo each other. There's nothing wrong with competition, don't get me wrong. But what we as men have to learn how to do in what I'm calling my new conversation with men is to support each other. And to say, look, man, this is how I got here. I want to help you get there. That's why I do what I do. That's what William does what he does. He wants to empower you, uplift you. We have to stop competing against each other. It's not getting us anywhere. Are you with me? So, those are the 5 illusions of manhood as perpetuated by our families, our cultures, and our media. And it's important that we learn how to break free from those illusions. So would anybody like to know how to break free? Anybody interested in that conversation? The way to do that is, first of all, I have come up with my own definition of what it means to be a man. And this is just Michael Taylor's definition. I want you to come up with your own definition of what it means to be a man. But to me, a man is a person of the male gender who knows who he is, and he lives a life of faith, accountability, integrity, and responsibility. That to me is a man. And so faith, I've got as an internal knowing that you can accomplish anything your heart desires. You know, it's been said that faith is the evidence of things unseen. We've all heard that, right? That to me, there's an internal knowing in your spirit that you know what you're capable of. Accountability. Being willing to make tough decisions and stick by them. Because guess what? Life is tough. That's just the way it is. But you got to be willing to be accountable, make tough decisions. Integrity, simply doing what's right even when you don't have to. Okay? And responsibility, which is the ability to respond to life's challenges without blaming others. Stuff happens, but it isn't until you take full responsibility for your life that you can succeed. Okay? So now, here's the key to waking up from the illusion. Someone once said that, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your what? It all starts in here and in here. And remember what I said earlier about me beginning my journey of personal transformation by stop reading books on money, but really figuring out how to be happy? I had to begin renewing my mind first. So what I want to share are 5 steps to transformation that's going to support you in waking up from the illusions and reaching your full potential. Step number 1, you must be willing to get in touch with your emotions. For men, that is extremely difficult to do. Because as the first illusion said, to be a man, you must be non-emotional and disconnected. So if you're still buying into that illusion, this is going to scare the heck out of you. But here's what I know. There are 4 primary emotions that every human being has. 4 primary emotions. I know there's 6 pictures, but there's 4 primary, okay? Mad, glad, sad, and afraid. Okay? In our society as men, mad or anger is a socially accepted emotion for men. Oh, he's just a man. But what happens when we feel sadness? Or what happens if we feel fear? Well, if we don't know how to express it openly and honestly, it's going to show up as anger. Because we haven't learned how to deal with the energy or the emotion of sadness and fear. But you have sadness and fear for a reason. It's a part of you. But our society has conditioned us not to feel. So we disconnect. And here's the key. We're going to be talking about 10 steps to healthy relationships where you cannot be relational if you aren't willing to be emotional. Simple as that. You cannot be relational unless you're willing to be emotional. So the first step, you got to be willing to get in touch with your emotions. It doesn't make you less of a man, and I can promise you, it'll open up a whole new world for you. Number 2, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. You remember what I talked about transforming your mind? Well, all of the decisions and stuff we make is based on stuff that's stored in our subconscious mind. Sometimes we're not even aware of it. So what we have to be willing to do is put in new information if we want to be transformed. And so that means you have to be willing to read. And read things that's going to inspire you and support you in becoming a better man. Not only should you be reading books, but you should also be investing in events like this. Events that's going to give you some new information to help you transform your life. So if you're really committed to being successful, and you define successful, you've got to be willing to do this. You've got to be willing to learn new things. It's imperative. Audio programs. I love audio programs. I love listening to people that have done the things that I want to do. And that's how I learned to do them. Okay? So if you're really committed to your personal transformation and you want to get a taste of some of the stuff I'm talking about, I want you to, when you get a chance, log on to my website, CoachMichaelTaylor.com. And I've got some business cards and stuff here I'll pass out. But on my website, I've got radio shows, I've got podcasts, I've got free articles, a ton of information for free that will support you in your transformation. But you got to be willing to do the work. It's all up to you. Okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, and Oprah said it best when she said, surround yourself only with people who are going to lift you up. So what you have to be willing to do is you have to build a support system. What's the 3 most difficult words for a man to say? I love you. I need help. Think about that. We have been taught that we're supposed to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and so we go through life trying to get through life, and we got all this stuff building up, but we don't know how to say, I need help. Why? Because we're taught that that means we're weak. And we don't want to appear weak, right? This simple 3-letter phrase is what is killing us as men. Because we aren't willing to say, I need help. So, number 3, make sure that you build a support system. Because if you come out of a bad environment, the only way to stay out of that environment is to do what? Go to a new environment. So you got to surround yourself with people that's going to uplift you and empower you. Not drag you down and put you back in the same situation that you're trying to get out of. Number 4, you must develop a connection with a power greater than yourself. Now, this is a very personal and private decision that you have to make for yourself. Now, this power, this presence goes by a lot of different names. You get to call it what you want to call it. I'm not going to tell you that. But what I am going to say is that if you really want to be transformed, you must establish a connection with that power. And you do it every day, not just on Sundays. But you have to define that for yourself. Now, the challenge here is that you may have to rethink your beliefs about this power. But you have to be willing to develop a connection, a relationship, an intimacy with the divine if you truly want to be transformed. I believe that. And last but not least, you have to understand that what you have done is not who you are. I want you to think about this for a moment. This is going to be powerful. We all make the best possible choice for ourselves in that moment based on our limited amount of understanding. In other words, I don't care what you have done. I don't care how bad it was. In that moment, it felt like the right choice for you, right? And then you may look in retrospect and go, that was a bad choice. But in that moment, you couldn't have chosen any other way based on your limited amount of understanding. It's impossible. Now, that doesn't mean it was right, what you did. But what you have to be willing to acknowledge is that the only way that you're going to make better choices in life is you're going to have to deepen your understanding. Does that make sense? So, some of you may be beating yourself up because of choices you made in the past. You can't go backwards. That was then. Today is a new day. So the one thing that I suggest you consider, that you learn how to forgive yourself for those bad choices that you may have made. and make a commitment to not make the same bad choices again. And the only way to do that is to increase your understanding. That's why personal transformation is so important. Because if you don't transform yourself, guess what? You're going to make the same choices. It couldn't be any other way. You with me on that? We've all made bad choices in life. Don't identify with the choices you've made. Identify with the man that you can become. Okay? So, those are the 5 steps to transformation, which we're now going to talk about the 10 keys to creating great relationships. But what I know is that you can't get to creating great relationships until you go through the first 2 steps that I told you. Waking up from the illusions and investing in your transformation. You will never be able to create any type of deep, intimate, connected relationship until you do that. But here's the good news. It's possible for you. You can have it all, whatever all is for you. But you got to be willing to do the work. You got to be willing to invest in your personal transformation. And it's an inside job. It's not out there. It's all in here. Am I willing to look at the thoughts and beliefs that I have about myself to transform my life? And if I am, where am I going to go to get the resources to support me in that? So, 10 keys to creating great relationships. Now, I want you to take a look at this picture. How many of you can see this picture? Can everybody see this picture?